Okay, everyone, we are going to get started. Thanks so much for joining the second breakout session. You are in the Toolkit Accelerator workshop. I will be facilitating along with my colleague, Mary Pauline, and I'll just introduce myself in case you haven't met me yet. I am Kate Dalen. I am the career coach in the DePaul Career Center who works primarily with students interested in business and entrepreneurship career fields. That includes marketing, management, finance, accounting, business analytics, logistics, consulting, anything related to those fields. So if you are interested in working in those fields, I will be your career coach along with my other colleagues on the team. And I will be going over the Toolkit Accelerator along with Mary Pauline, who will introduce herself as well.
Yeah. My name is Mary Pauline. I'm the Assistant Director of Early Engagement through the Career Center. So I primarily work with first-year students, but I work a lot in the general services of Toolkit reviews within the Career Center. So Kate and I will be teaming up today to talk about Toolkit items in your application materials, and how to make those as strong as they can be, and how to integrate your personal brand or your own spin on some of these materials to make them personalized and effective in your application process.
And I do also want to point out that we have my colleague Nisha on the chat. She's going to be monitoring in case anyone has questions. You can drop them in the chat at any point in time or raise your hand and she'll make sure that we are aware and can address those in real time. Thanks, Nisha.
You're most welcome, Kate.
Okay, so today we are going to go over the following agenda. We're going to talk about what exactly is included in a career toolkit. That's a word that we use here in the Career Center, but you might not be aware of all the pieces that you should have prepared. We'll spend a lot of time going over strategies for strengthening that toolkit, including adding in your personal brand throughout each piece. We will take some time to go over what a personal brand is, how to make your own, how to showcase it in your application materials and interviews. Then we'll take a bit of time to just do a pretty high level review of resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn best practices. If you need something a little bit more in depth as we're going over the best practices, if you think you would like some extra help, that would be a perfect time to take advantage of our resume review resources, which we'll share at the end, which could include a one-on-one meeting with a career coach, or an asynchronous resume review, or just using our extensive career library. So that's the agenda for this session. Again, please interrupt with any questions along the way. And we'll have some activities to get everybody sharing as well. So be ready for that.
Yeah, awesome. So what's included in a career toolkit? What are we going to talk about today? The three primary items of a toolkit are a resume, a cover letter, and a LinkedIn profile. We're hoping that in your application process that you are cultivating either your first or a second or third or fourth draft of these, to make sure that you are submitting your application materials and that they are up to date with all that you've done, with your recent graduation status and with experiences you've had. A resume is a well-crafted summary of your education, experience, and skills designed to convince the reader to contact you for an interview. So it's in a letter, or it's in a one-page typically document that outlines all that you've done in terms of your professional experience. Your cover letter is more of a written document. It outlines in more written detail why you are a good fit for the position. And your LinkedIn profile is on the online platform LinkedIn. It showcases your brand and allows you to build your professional network. What makes a toolkit a strong toolkit? Kate is going to dive into the details here.
So you obviously want all of your materials to, be well written, to have proper spelling, to cover all of the best practices. But the most important part to make your application materials stand out is that they're personal to you. They are marketing tools that are specific to you, encompassing your skills and experiences and qualifications, and your personal brand, so that that it makes an employer realize who you are as a person and as an employee, and not just a list of attributes, right? You don't need to have all of your work in educational history. Really just focus in on what's relevant in the field that you are applying to. You definitely want to also kind of showcase how you show up in professional settings. And that's where your personal brand comes in. We want them to know, what are you as a human bringing to the table? Because you don't just show up at work as a list of experiences and qualifications and skills. You show up as a person, as a coworker. So we want them to understand what it is that you're uniquely bringing to them.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about what personal brand is. We've talked about this term a couple of times already, and by defining it and getting into the details of what it means, it'll allow all of you to cultivate a little bit more of a specific personal brand or to target your application materials to the position you're interested in applying for. All right, so personal brand is your first impression and your lasting impact. So, how do people perceive you in the workplace, and what is the impact that you leave behind? It's what people say about you when you're not in the room in terms of a work context. So, how reliable you are, the skills you bring to the table, the impression that you leave, those types of things. It's a strategy of establishing and promoting yourself, and it includes the career field of study that you're interested in, skills and experiences that you've had, and the kind of person that you stand for. So, who you want to be within the workplace. The brand statement is made up of a couple of different components, and this is a great template for writing one. We have this outline that says, my blank, blank, and blank make me an excellent candidate for this position. So the main point of this statement is to emphasize that you're a great candidate, and by including some of your experiences, your background, your skills, and your passions into this statement, it helps you stand out as a unique candidate who's prepared to do the job that's listed. So a couple of examples of what that might look like. My experience planning and implementing community recreation programs, my strong organizational and management skills. So you're highlighting some of your skills and getting specific with what those skills are. My background, so a past experience as a recreation, sports, and fitness intern at the Boys and Girls Club, or my passion for the intersection of sports and social justice. All of these take different angles to this application, which highlight the multiple different ways that this candidate is interested and prepared to do the job that they're applying for. So we're going to do a little activity. Jumping right into creating our own brand statements can be a little bit intimidating sometimes. So we're going to start with a fictional character brand statement. Last call we had, our group was brainstorming what Dora the Explorer's brand statement might be. Does anyone have a fictional character they want to work with on this? And we're going to piece together an example of what this might look like for that character. You can hop on the mic and share your character's name, or you can type it in the chat. And I encourage you to think of a character that a lot of us know about. Oh, beautiful. We have a quick responder, and Harry Potter, I think, is hopefully accessible for all on the call for, creating a statement here. So Kate, can we go to our next slide here? On this next slide, we have, again, the same template. Throw it in the chat or on the mic. What experiences, background, skills, and passions does Harry have? Let's say Harry Potter is applying to be a professor at Hogwarts. What kind of skills does Harry need, or experiences has he had, passions, or some of his background? Why would he be a good candidate for this job? So no need to write the full statement, but you can just say, list a couple of ideas or one idea for one of these red words. One big thing is his background, strategic thinker, absolutely. Yeah, he's a good problem solver. He's done a lot on the spot. He thinks through his plans. He's a long-term thinker on this. His background, he certainly has gone to Hogwarts. He has that understanding of the environment and what it takes to be a mentor in that space. Leadership, absolutely. Yeah, he's been a leader this whole time as a student. loyal friend and colleague. Yeah, he is a great part of the community there. So that's probably part of his passion for working there, that he has a lot of tie to this place and knows the importance of Hogwarts. We're getting so deep with Harry's whole, motivation to be working here, but the idea here is that we're picking a hypothetical character. We're integrating why it might be important to break down this character's experiences, background, skills, passions, and talk about how to create a brand statement from there. All right, we're moving on to our next slide. Let's see here. All right, I'll turn it over to you, Kate.
All right, so when you are putting together your own brand statement, you want to make sure that you're considering all of your values, all of your interests, consider your whole personality, consider all of your skills. And I recommend just in a brainstorming session, just writing all of those down. And then when it's time to really formulate your brand statement for your resume or for your LinkedIn profile, then you will consider how you can target that brand statement for your field specifically. I think a really good way to do this is to carefully review some position descriptions of roles that interest you and select the most in-demand skills and qualifications that you see kind of across multiple positions. I think the more that you look at job descriptions, the more you'll see trends of, okay, yes, you need these skills, you need these qualifications for a wide range of jobs within your industry. So those are the ones that you want to make sure that you are including in your personal brand statement, so that employers see that you are a good fit for that particular role or that particular field. And we're going to do another activity to kind of get some practice with reviewing these or picking out these skills and qualifications in a job description. So I have a job description here. Take a minute to skim through it and just drop in the chat or shout out on the mic any skills or qualifications that you see. I promise there are many. This should be, it should not be too hard for you to find a couple to shout out. Any skills or qualifications you see that the employer is looking for here.
I'm seeing some campaign work, so promotional campaigns and wanting to have the marketing skills for that.
Yep, absolutely. Project management, I see. Yes, thank you. Excellent. Content design, collaboration. Yeah, I think I see collaboration a couple of times on there. That would be an indication that it's very important. Anyone else find research? Good. Event coordination? Yes, yes. Thank you. Good. Okay. So hopefully it's not terribly difficult to kind of start picking these out. I'll show you. I did dissect this for us just to make sure that we've covered everything. And you might see some things highlighted that you didn't really think of as skills or qualifications because it's right there, it's in the key responsibilities rather than explicitly listed in the qualifications section. So be sure that when you are looking at your position descriptions that you're really analyzing everything. I've dropped these skills into kind of different buckets. The first one is the marketing skills that I see. And again, when you're looking at job descriptions for your field, you'll probably see some knowledge or qualifications that are directly related to your field. Then you'll likely see some soft skills, and these are likely transferable across many different industries or kinds of jobs. But those are things like collaboration, event coordination, organization, written and verbal communication, maybe problem solving. Those are things that you also will want to highlight. And then depending on your field, there may be some technical skills. If you are in a highly technical field, that section will be a lot bigger. But I can guarantee you that nearly every position, every employer is looking for a combination of these different kinds of skills. So when you are putting your personal brand statement together, I recommend that you are representing something from each of these kinds of 3 skills areas. And you'll have to, kind of decide which ones you want to feature most. But these are the areas that you'll definitely want to highlight in your own statement. Any questions about this, kind of how I came up with these skills or how I sorted them out? If so, just drop them in the chat. And here's an example of how I pulled some of those out and put them in a brand statement. So if I were applying for this job, this is what I would say. I would say my experience organizing events, my strong writing skills, and my history of successful collaboration make me an excellent candidate for this position. And again, I could have taken really any of the skills from that list. You'll want to choose the ones that you feel are your strongest set of skills or the ones that you most want the employer to ask you about in an interview.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about cultivating a couple of example brand statements, one for Harry Potter, one for our job description that was listed. Now we want to talk about how to cultivate your own. So you've seen a couple of examples. Can we go to this next slide, Kate? So again, here's the template that we've been using. We're going to give you a minute or two to jot down some notes that you think are involved in your brand statement. And when we come back at 12:12, we're going to have you put them in the chat or say them on the mic if you're feeling comfortable with doing so. It doesn't have to be the full statement. It can just be picking one of these red words and getting specific with the details of your past experiences, skills, backgrounds, passions, and how they relate to one of these red words. So you don't need to write the whole thing, but we're going to give you 2 minutes or so to jot down a couple of notes and then put them in the chat when we come back. So take a minute here. Kate, any examples that you think would be helpful to hear about your past role of how your brand statement relates to that?
Yes, I'll put one in the chat here. More about my passion than about my past experience.
Oh, yeah. So your passion for continuous learning makes you an excellent candidate for working in higher education. Absolutely. So being someone who cares about furthering people's education makes you a great candidate because your employer knows that you're passionate about it, that it means something to you, and that you have some buy-in in terms of the mission of the task at hand. Anyone else want to put something in the chat or come on the mic for how your experiences, background, skills, or passions? Awesome. We have one in the chat. My extensive experience combined with my passion for continuous learning and innovation makes me a strong candidate for this position. Beautiful. So we've got some experience there, some passion. Thank you for putting this in the chat. My only suggestion would be to get even more specific. So your extensive experience in blank and your passion for continuous learning and innovation. That one sounds great. You've got a lot of details in there, but your first one, just getting specific about that experience. Right above that, experience as a pre-K through 8 school principal. Yes, absolutely. So if you're a principal and you've had that experience already, that's crucial for working in a lot of other school environments. So if you're applying for another principal position, an assistant principal position, a teaching position, whatever it may be, you have the view of an education leader to understand what it takes to be in some of those positions. That's great. Another one we have here, problem solving, analytical, and decision-making skills. Absolutely. So those are 3 very specific skills that show involvement in the types of skills that this person may need for their upcoming position. Another one. All right. So you've outwitted me in terms of the skills listed here because this is not an industry I'm familiar with, but absolutely, you have specifics in your product design, enterprise application, skill of effective collaboration with cross-functional teams. Great. So you're highlighting your skill of collaboration in a lot of different settings, how it makes you an excellent candidate for product design position. I love that you combined hard skills and soft skills there. You shared a little bit of the types of skills involved in the product design and also shared how you're a good collaborator. That combines both the technical side and the people side of this job. And that's a great combo to have in there. We have a lot of good examples in this chat. Thank you for participating, everyone. All right, so we are going to talk about some of the key components of our three primary toolkit items. We're going to talk about resumes, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles. So let's look at resumes. There are different formats of resumes based on the industry you're interested in, but some of the key components that will transcend lots of different types of resumes are education, experience, technology, and skills. These four categories are very important to highlight on your resumes. In terms of framing a resume in the application process, it's very similar to a thesis statement of your professional brand. It's the leading statement. It highlights the key points of what your professional brand is all about. A resume is the trailer if an interview is the movie. So you're giving a little taste of what you can do, the past experiences you've had, and then in the interview, you're able to get into more detail and share how you did that type of work. This document that's listed on this slide is on our DePaul Career Library, and I encourage everyone to Google the DePaul Career Library and take a look at the resources provided there if you have further questions, because today really is a surface description of these, so we can talk about each one of them. But the primary component of resume design is to have it be a very clear design to make it easy for the reviewer to take a look at and see the highlighted points. We have this person's name right at the top. It's the largest component of the resume, which is great. We have their contact information, including their phone number, email, and LinkedIn profile. We can see where they studied, what they majored in and minored in, when they graduated. All of these components are very clearly laid out and allow us to understand what types of past experiences this person has had. Then there is also a skills section that highlights the hard and soft skills. Often on resume, it'll be focused primarily on hard skills, which means skills that you were trained to do rather than skills that are about how you do your work. And then some technology here at the bottom as well. All right, so that truly was a quick overview. If you are still wondering a little bit about how your resume stacks up in terms of all of the things to include and in terms of formatting, go ahead and scan this QR code. It links to a document on the DePaul Career Library called the Resume Self-Assessment Tool. It'll ask you several questions just to make sure that you've completed all of the necessary steps of your resume to make sure you're able to convey your personal brand and also convey all of your past experiences in an effective way on your resume.
I'll also take a moment just because typically when we are going through resume reviews, especially with candidates who are, they've finished their education and they're ready to dive in with their experience. Usually what we're spending time working on is really making sure that your bullet points under your experiences are representative of your accomplishments and your skills. They should not just be a list of every task or every duty that you completed or that you were assigned in the role. We really want to make sure that you're taking a step back and you're thinking, okay, what did I really achieve? What did I accomplish? What skills did I develop or use in that position? If you're just starting out, getting used to this kind of writing, there's a useful formula that you can use here on the page. You'll start with the what. So what skill did you demonstrate? What project did you complete? What accomplishment did you have? An action verb is really helpful in those cases. Then you'll want to just give a little context, some specific details of how you did that skill, how you used that skill, how you completed the project, and describing the work that you did. And then the thing that is quite often forgotten is the end, the why, the result. You did this, you used this skill, you did this project, and the result of it was this. This is just a really effective way to showcase those skills and qualifications in a more impactful way than just kind of listing out the things that you did. We want to show impact. We want to show results. Here are some examples that you can read through. Just for the sake of time, I will just kind of highlight one of these here. So instead of saying that you managed the social media for your employer, you say that you cultivated 300 followers on Instagram in 1 month and had 700 retweets of a single post. So we've got this verb in here, the action verb, and it's also the skill that you can cultivate followers. You've got the what you did, and you have some nice metrics in here. 300 followers is nice to point out. And then you've got your impact or your result. You had 700 retweets of a single post. So again, it's much better than just saying I managed the social media. You're showing what you did. You're showing that you had an impact and an accomplishment. And we will share out these slides again in case you want to refer back to some of these samples as you're revising your resume. Now, when you're thinking of which accomplishment statements to include, especially if you are, trapped for space on your resume, you'll want to make sure that the ones that you're featuring are closely related to the job that you're applying for next. So again, you've already carefully reviewed the position description to know what qualifications and skills are most important in your field or the job that you are applying to. So you want to make sure that you're using the skills and the keywords that they have said are important in your resume. Sometimes that means you're going to cut bullet points that are not related to what it is that you're trying to do next, and that's okay to do. Make sure that what the employers are reading are building a case for you to get that next job.
Awesome. We're going to dive into cover letters as well. Talk a little bit about the specifics there. A cover letter is your opportunity to make your case. It's your opportunity to share a little bit about your personal brand and also to get into more detail about why you are a good fit for this by providing examples of your past experiences. Cover letter formatting. This is a great sample of how to format cover letter. You have the address of where you're sending this document, even if it's a virtual submission. You have the date, you have the position title listed so that it's very clear to the employer which position you're applying for. This is especially applicable if there are quite a few positions listed by the same employer, and you want to make sure that they receive this as part of your application for a specific role. You will open your note by describing what role you're applying for, and then also include your brand statement. So share a little bit about yourself and the statement we just cultivated of why you are a good fit for the candidate. This is like your thesis statement of the document. So you're saying these reasons are why I'm a great fit. And then in the content of the document, you'll dive into why you can support those reasons or why you can support that statement. So why does your experience doing blank really mean that you're a good fit for this? You'll describe a little bit more about that experience, what it was that you did in that role, why it was helpful that you were in that role for the sake of the organization, what type of leadership you had in that organization, things like that. So you're going to provide some detail or some evidence for your claim at the top. You can certainly show some passion for the role. This would include highlighting some of your passions and how they relate to the job described. And then you'll close with thanks. So thank you for your time and consideration. And this will be the formality that tells them that you are recognizing the time that they're taking to read your document, and you will sign your name at the bottom.
So again, the same as with your resume, you want to make sure that your cover letter is specifically addressing what the employer has asked for in the position description. So again, you're going to go back to that job description. You're going to look at those skills and qualifications that you've highlighted as being important to the employer. And you're going to make sure that you're using those skills, those keywords. You're going to make sure your cover letter is really highlighting those most important skills and accomplishments that relate to the job. Again, make sure that your personal brand is infused in there. Make sure that they know that they're, what kind of person that they would be hiring if they bring you in for an interview.
All right, then we'll also be getting into LinkedIn profiles and the tips behind this. So there are quite a few components of a LinkedIn profile, and the more that you add to this, the more that you can represent your personal brand. In terms of a photo that you add to your profile, we suggest that it's clear quality, that your full face is in it, and there aren't other people in there that might make it confusing to identify who we're looking for here. There's a solid or simple background, so nothing that distracts from seeing who you are, and that you're dressing for success. This can mean a lot of different things, but ideally clean clothes, clothes that fit you, and clothes that you feel like represent your professional brand and are also matching to the workplace that you're applying for. Your headline can include something like your current job title or some of the goals that you have right now. Skills that you have or interests. This headline really is just a quick snippet of something that you want to highlight. For those who are looking for new positions, it might be something like Brad's headline here that says seeking new opportunities. You want to just share a little snippet about yourself, and you'll share even more coming up here. In your summary statement, that's where you will put your personal brand. So you'll share who you are, what matters to you in the workplace, what motivates you, what you're skilled at, what's next for you professionally. In your experience section, you'll share your full list of roles and leadership that you've had. It'll have the opportunity to include timeframes of when you were there, as well as a description of the types of things that you did in that role. Just as Kate mentioned, it's not necessarily a bullet point list, but it's more of a description to share the impact that you had in those roles. You can use your resume as a guide, but it's important to not have it just be the resume bullet points and get a little bit more specific. All right, you can include organizations that you are a part of. That might be a professional organization or a student organization, and how you held leadership roles in this organization if you had one, or how you were a key player in the organization's success. Education section, degrees that you're working towards or that you've obtained, and this could include concentrations and or majors or minors. All right, so you can also include other components, including volunteer experiences or skills and expertise, which outline some of the skills that we will see on your resume, but might get more specific. There's an opportunity on LinkedIn to endorse other people's skills. So if you know that you have a previous mentor or peer or classmate, professor, whoever it may be, who has seen clearly that you have a specific skill and you ask for them to endorse you on LinkedIn, it's an opportunity to have others view this as something that you are successful in. You can also include honors and awards. So that could be in or outside of school rewards that relate to your goals or your passions. Lastly, including things like licenses and certifications. This is particularly important if you're applying to a role that requires some of these licenses. You can include projects, which is wonderful. I know particularly for a lot of art or digital media students who want to include that they've completed certain portfolio items, and you can include that in a project section. And you can also include languages that you speak or that you're proficient in.
So you definitely want to make sure that your personal brand is infused throughout your LinkedIn profile. Mary Pauline already gave some great examples of how to make sure to do that. But you also want to then participate in groups, follow employers, connect with others who are working in your industry. That way, when an employer looks at your profile, they see that you know what's up, you know what's happening in the industry. You have good connections that can help open doors for you in the future. And if you're connected to those employers and to those groups, then as soon as new opportunities are available or trends in the industry are brought up, you are notified about them. So really make sure that you are using your LinkedIn profile as a tool. You also, it's helpful to post often on LinkedIn. I am personally not a big social media person, so I don't really like to post very much about myself. But I do share news stories or other people's posts. I give lots of likes out just to make sure that I'm engaging with my network in a meaningful way. And then also make sure that you're keeping your profile up to date. So anytime that you've gotten a new certification, you've learned a new skill, you have a new job to feature, make sure that that's up to date and on your profile so that it's ready to go.
All right, and then if you're looking for Career Center support in having your toolkit removed, there are quite a few ways to do that. The first way, as we've been talking about this whole session, is to meet with a career coach. So that could be someone like Kate, or it could be one of our other career coaches from the original call. by logging into Handshake and setting up an appointment, or by stopping by the Career Center either in person or giving the front desk a call. You can set up an appointment with a career coach and you can work one-on-one with them to have your resume, cover letter, or LinkedIn profile reviewed. You can also submit your document to the asynchronous review service, which is the QR code on this slide. If you submit your document to the async service, you will receive a video recorded review of your document within a week or a week and a half, depending on the supply of them coming in. And at that point, you will see the staff members' reflections on what is going well and what can be improved in your toolkit item. Starting at the beginning of the school year, we will also have drop-in hours, which are set hours each week that will last the full year. Once that schedule is published, it will be on the DePaul Career Center website. During those drop-in hours, you can come in either to the Loop office or the Lincoln Park office to have any of these reviewed on the spot during that time.
You can also connect with us on social media. At the Career Center, we're always offering tips and industry trends. So follow us on any of those platforms you see below. Visit our website to find that really helpful career library and any other resources that you might find useful. And we have our locations here on campus. I know that you mostly have graduated, so you may not be on campus regularly anymore, but you are always welcome to come back and see us.